The old stories of Japan speak of a mysterious woman named Himiko, a queen said to have ruled with strange sorcery. According to the legends, she wasn't just a regular monarch. She dealt in powers people considered dark and cursed. Her presence was said to bring death, ruin, and fear across the land. Eventually, her very own generals turned on her, trapping her away on a remote, dangerous island hidden deep within the Devil's Sea, a place no ordinary person would dare to cross. Generations later, an English explorer, Lord Richard Croft, stumbled upon this story. While studying ancient maps, he spotted a tiny mark that hinted at the island's location. Unlike others who dismissed the tale as myth, Richard was convinced it held truth. That belief consumed him so much that he was willing to risk everything, even time with his young daughter Lara, to follow the trail. Years later, we find Lara Croft not as a polished heiress, but inside a rough boxing ring, throwing punches. She fights hard, using every ounce of skill, but in the end, her opponent manages to get the upper hand. She takes the loss with grit, but still frustrated. In the locker room, her friend Sophie cracks a few jokes about the defeat, keeping things lighthearted. After Sophie leaves, the gym owner, Terry, reminds Lara she owes him money. The no pay, no play policy hits hard, and he urges her to figure out her finances. Lara brushes it off, but knows she's strapped for cash. Instead of living off her family fortune, Lara scrapes by with small jobs. One of those is running deliveries on her bike. She zips through traffic, arrives at a restaurant, and picks up an order. The owner's son awkwardly tries to work up the courage to ask her out, encouraged by his parents, but he fumbles at the last second and lets the moment pass. Later, Lara joins a risky street bike chase game where she volunteers as the fox, the target the others must chase. A pouch of prize money hangs on the outcome, and she's desperate enough to risk it. Using her quick reflexes, sharp turns, and tricks like dropping paint trails, she manages to stay in the lead. For a while, it feels like she's unbeatable. Then she sees something that shakes her, a man who looks strikingly like her missing father. She stares too long, distracted, and barely avoids smashing into an open car door. The close call sends her tumbling into the path of a police vehicle. Sirens wail, and the race scatters. At the police station, Lara sits in frustration until Anna, Richard Croft's longtime associate, arrives to bail her out. Anna scolds Lara gently but firmly, pointing out her self-destructive streak. Lara insists she just needs money, but Anna reminds her she already has access to her inheritance. Lara refuses it outright. To her, Richard Croft abandoned his family and doesn't deserve her loyalty, not even in memory. Anna explains that Richard has been gone 7 years. The authorities stopped searching for him 2 years ago, officially declaring him lost. Without Lara's acceptance of the inheritance, all of Richard's life's work and the family estate will be dissolved and sold off. Lara pretends not to care, but inside, she's conflicted. At night, memories creep in. Lara recalls being a child, clinging to her father before one of his expeditions. He had given her an amulet, a charm he claimed would keep them connected whenever she missed him. His promise to return still echoes in her heart, a wound that never healed. The next morning, Lara finally walks into Croft Holdings to consider her inheritance. Dressed plainly, she looks nothing like the wealthy daughter of a noble line, and the receptionist mistakes her for a courier. When Lara explains who she is, the receptionist's stunned silence says it all. Upstairs, the lawyer Mr. Yaffe and Anna present the necessary papers. But before Lara signs, Yaffe reveals a Japanese puzzle box, a relic Richard left behind, only to be given to Lara upon his death. She recognizes it instantly. Her father used to keep boxes like this, though she never managed to solve them as a child. To everyone's shock, she cracks it open with ease. Inside are 2 folded papers and a small key. One paper is a photograph of her and her father together, tugging at her emotions. The other is a cryptic note, the first letter from my final destination. Lara quickly excuses herself, leaving the inheritance unsigned, and rushes home with the puzzle box. Back at Croft Manor, she searches for clues using the note. Eventually, she uncovers a hidden door leading to a secret basement. Inside, she discovers a treasure trove of artifacts, journals, and maps, her father's secret study. Among the items are multiple passports, suggesting he traveled under many identities. Then she finds an old video camera. Playing the tape, she sees Richard himself, speaking directly to her. He confesses that his obsession with the supernatural was his way of coping with her mother's death. More importantly, He warns her to destroy all his research about Himiko before anyone else finds it. If the knowledge fell into the wrong hands, it could doom the world. Instead of burning the documents, Lara pores over them. She finds recordings about Himiko's tomb, legends of trials guarding it, and references to a ship captain named Lu Run in Hong Kong who once agreed to take Richard there. With a spark of determination, Lara decides to continue what her father started. Needing money for the journey, Lara visits a pawn shop to sell the amulet her father gave her. The shop owner Alan listens skeptically, assuming it's just sentimental junk. His wife whispers something to him, and suddenly Alan decides to buy it. He offers a small amount. Lara pushes for more, mentioning her father's death. That only irritates him. He accuses her of using a tired sob story, then cruelly lowers the payment. Angry, Lara snatches the money, splashes coffee in his face, and storms out. Arriving in Hong Kong, Lara begins searching for Lu Ren. A gang of street kids offers to help, but instead tricks her, stealing her bag. She gives chase through crowded alleys, tackling one of them, but soon finds herself surrounded. A knife flashes and Lara bolts, leaping onto a nearby boat for safety. The boat belongs to none other than Lu Ren, though she doesn't know it yet. As the boys corner her, Lu Ren appears with a rifle, scaring them off. Instead of helping her, however, he points the weapon at Lara, demanding she leave. Before he can push her away, his drunken state gets the better of him and he collapses. Inside, Lara splashes water on him to wake him and shows him the letter she discovered. He admits the handwriting belongs to his father, not him. Coincidentally, his father vanished the same time as Richard, 7 years ago. The connection convinces Lara their fathers vanished together. She lays out maps and notes, tracing Richard's path to Yamatai, the island tied to Himiko. Though Lu Ren refuses at first, warning that the devil's sea swallows ships whole, Lara persuades him with money. Eventually, he agrees, and they set sail. On the journey, Lara studies her father's notes about the tomb. Ancient texts describe horrifying trials awaiting intruders, crossing the chasm of souls, facing Himiko's visage, battling her army of handmaidens, and unleashing her deadly plague. Richard had also warned that Trinity, a shadowy militant order, was tracking his work, hoping to weaponize the supernatural. During a quiet moment, Lara asks Lu Ren if he thinks Richard was insane for chasing myths. Her doubts weigh heavy, but still, she pushes forward. That night, a violent storm erupts. The sea thrashes their vessel mercilessly. Lu Ren fires a flare, signaling for help, but the ship is breaking apart. Lara insists on retrieving her father's research, ignoring Lu Ren's warnings. A wave crashes, tossing her down, but Lu Ren pulls her up. Together, they rush to the lifeboat, but another wave hurls him overboard. Lara leaps into the water, clutching the documents, and is battered by the sea until she blacks out. When she wakes, she's in a tent with a stranger watching her. He introduces himself as Matthias Vogel. He offers food but keeps her belongings close. To her horror, he reveals Richard's journal in his hands. He explains he's been waiting years to find this island secret. When she asks about her father, Vogel coldly admits he killed him. Shocked and furious, Lara stumbles outside, but is grabbed by mercenaries. She sees slave workers, guarded and forced to haul crates branded with a corporate logo. Among them is Lu Ren, alive but battered. Vogel orders the camp moved. As they march, Lara whispers with Lu Ren, learning many of the workers are stranded fishermen or unlucky travelers. Vogel's cruelty becomes clear when he executes an exhausted old man without hesitation. During the chaos, Lu Ren creates a distraction, urging Lara to run. Gunfire erupts. Lara flees toward a bridge, but is shot at, tumbling into the river. Swept away by the current, she narrowly survives by clinging to collapsing wreckage and using sheer grit to climb out. She's injured badly, even impaled by shrapnel, but manages to drag herself into the forest. Later, a mercenary finds her, trying to drag her back. Desperation fuels her. She fights back viciously, eventually drowning him. Exhausted and bleeding, she notices a man watching from the shadows. He runs and she chases. Scaling rocks after him, she finally corners him at a fire. To her disbelief, it's Richard. At first, he thinks she's a hallucination. But when she repeats a childhood gesture he always used, a kiss on her forehead, he realizes it's truly her. Overcome with emotion, he treats her wounds as she fades into unconsciousness, promising not to abandon her again. By morning, Trinity forces under Vogel discover the tomb's entrance. Vogel radios for extraction. Lara, now awake, spends a quiet moment with Richard. He admits leaving her was the hardest choice of his life, but once trapped by Himiko's curse, he couldn't return. He reveals that Vogel is just a pawn of Trinity, and their true goal is to awaken Himiko and weaponize her dark powers. Richard explains he stayed behind for one reason only, to keep those guys from ever getting their hands on what lies under the island. For years, he's believed the only thing stopping them was the fact they didn't have his notes. He's even a bit relieved, until Lara blurts out that she didn't burn the research. The comm snaps. He turns on her, furious, saying she might have just put the whole world in danger. Lara pushes back, hurt but firm. If she destroyed everything like he asked, she never would have found him, never would have even known where to look. He warns her again. If the tomb opens, the curse everyone whispers about won't be a story anymore. It'll break loose. He admits he thinks her coming here was a mistake, which stings because all she's ever wanted was the truth about what happened to him. Then he softens, telling her the only reason he vanished was to protect her. As long as the tomb stayed untouched, she'd stay safe. He also admits he underestimated her. She's braver than he imagined. Lara refuses to leave it there. If there's even a shot at getting off this rock, she's taking it. She suggests using Vogel's satellite phone to call in help. Richard calls it impossible. Vogel has too many men and too many guns. Lara's done arguing. She grabs his bow and a handful of arrows and slips into the night before he can stop her. At the enemy camp, she moves like a shadow between crates and canvas. She ducks into Vogel's tent just as he storms through, shouting at his team, demanding the code to open the tomb. He's livid, tossing things, accusing everyone of incompetence. While he's spitting orders, Lara slides out the back. She circles to the pens where the prisoners and workers are corralled. When one merc turns his head, she plants an arrow cleanly, and he drops. She whispers to the others to grab whatever they can swing, pipes, tools, anything, and be ready to run when she gives the word. Gunfire erupts across the camp as guards notice movement. Lara tells Run to lead the group to the cliffs and wait for a signal. She's going to swipe the sat phone. She snatches the device and sprints, but freezes when she spots Richard at the tomb's mouth, hands raised, surrounded. Ren empties a magazine, then fishes another pistol off a fallen guard and tells a worker to take the group to safety. He's not leaving without Lara. Vogel creeps up behind Richard and a soldier cracks Richard across the head with a rifle, but the world wobbles in Richard's vision. Vogel smiles, tells Richard to open the tomb and stop being dramatic, adding that after 7 years it's about time he got to see his family again. Richard warns him that if that door opens there won't be any family left to see, anywhere. Vogel's done playing nice. He signals, and the mercenary cocks his weapon, but before he can fire, an arrow whistles from the dark and buries itself in the gunman. Vogel swings his pistol toward Richard. Across the torchlight, Lara has him lined up with her bow. Richard yells at her to take the shot. Better Vogel dead than the tomb open, but Vogel already has the barrel pressed toward Richard's chest. Vogel says there's a simpler way. Lara gets her father to cooperate. They open the tomb, and when the transport arrives, everyone gets to leave. Richard declares he'll die before he helps. He's ready for that. He really is. One life against millions is nothing. Vogel keeps the muzzle steady. Lara lowers her arrow. She did not fight and bleed her way across an ocean to watch her father get executed. She offers a compromise. She'll open the tomb. She studies the ancient lock and the carved rings around it. The mechanism reminds her of the puzzle box from the office, except older, heavier, and meaner. Her fingers find the pattern. The pieces shift, and with a harsh clank the seal releases. The stone barrier groans and slides away in a spray of dust. Cold air blows from the darkness like the breath of something sleeping. Vogel orders flares and marks the path. Lara goes first, soldiers behind her, then Richard, wristbound, shoved along. Inside is not a grand hall. It's a throat of rock and stale air. The deeper they step, the quieter the world feels, like the tomb itself is swallowing sound. Their lights pick out bones fused into the earth. Richard warns softly that Himiko still breathes, not like a living woman, but as a presence. Vogel snorts and tells them to keep walking. Lara sets her foot down, and somewhere a hidden trigger clicks. Everyone freezes. A soldier whispers it's nothing, and then a metal spike snaps out of the floor, snatches him like a hook through a fish, and yanks him below into blackness. The echoes die. No one speaks. Richard realizes the truth. This place isn't designed to let intruders out. It's designed to hold them, and something else in. Vogel tosses a flare ahead. The ground drops away into a river of bones, like a bleached ocean. Lara remembers Richard's notes, the chasm of souls. The mercs pull a long ladder from their gear, extend it, and lay it across the gap. Vogel jerks his chin, Lara first. The ladder flexes as she steps. She goes slow, eyes on the far ledge. The rungs creak like old teeth. She makes it. One by one, the others follow, a line of shaky silhouettes over emptiness. On the other side, the tunnel opens into a chamber whose walls are carved with hundreds of faces, grim, watchful, ritual masks that seem to stare. Lara remembers the old chronicle, survive the faces of Himiko. An inscription glints under their lights. The Death Queen turns day to night. She must die to bring back life. It sits in her mind like a thorn. A merc steps on another pressure stone, and a boulder roars from the dark, almost flattening him. Before anyone can exhale, another stone grinds down behind them, sealing a chunk of the group away. The floor starts to crumble in chunks. Lara's feet start sliding as tiles fall. Richard lunges and grabs her arm, hauling her back as empty squares yawn where solid ground used to be. They scramble, hunting for anything that can stop the collapse. Lara spots a strange beam embedded in the wall, something with shape and slots. She runs, leaps for it, and clings by her fingertips over the growing hole. It's a keyway. She yells for a key. Richard, thinking of the pray to survive clue, turns to carved cylinders, prayer wheels, along the wall. He twists one open and finds a key. The handle is painted red. He throws it to Lara. She jams it in. Nothing. Check the others, she shouts. Vogel rips a wheel open himself, hurls an orange one. Still nothing. The floor keeps eating itself. Lara studies the inscription again. Death tonight. Life today. Color meaning. Not random. She calls for black. No response. Blue and white fly over. Still the tile beneath her crumbles, and she's dangling, boots scrabbling. The last key, yellow, clinks near her and fails too. Then it clicks for her. What color makes life? What makes green? She swaps into blue, then yells for green. The mechanism shudders. Stone locks grind. The falling stops. A groan echoes and the blocking stone recedes. The chamber breathes again. Everyone sags with relief. They push forward, flares snapping to life and bouncing light along fresh carvings. Outside, the night is turning, and Lurin paces near the cliffs, nerves fraying. He decides he's going back and whether it kills him or not. The workers he freed nod and fall in behind him. His father died trying to help people like them. The least they can do is help Lara now. Deeper inside, the walls are a graveyard. Skeletons are half fused into rock, wrapped in ceremonial fabric turned to dust. Richard murmurs that these were Himiko's 1,000 handmaidens, the women sworn to follow her in life and death, who chose to die so they could serve forever in the afterlife. It's chilling and sad, and it makes the air feel even heavier. Then the tunnel spills into a wide vault, and there it is. A stone platform at the center, a coffin carved with care, not malice. Everyone stops just to look at it. The mercs set up gear, rings of light filling the chamber. Richard tries one more time to talk sense into Vogel. He says lines on a map and gear on the ground don't change what's real. The curse is not a metaphor. Vogel laughs, says there's a difference between old stories and reality, and orders his men to open the sarcophagus. The lid drags back. Inside is the body of Himiko, dressed in layers of garments, face painted. For a moment, she looks perfectly preserved. Then, as the air hits her, the paint shrivels, skin contracts, flesh collapses on a bone. It happens fast, a time-lapse of death in seconds. Everyone jolts back. Vogel recovers first. He nods for the men to secure the remains for transport. Lara's eyes roam the murals and the way the coffin sits. There's something about Himiko's posture. It doesn't look like she was dragged here. It looks like she walked in and lay down on purpose. Lara remembers Richard's talk of sacrifice. It clicks. Himiko didn't terrorize the world with a curse. She carried a sickness and sealed herself away to protect everyone else. Before Lara can get the words out, Himiko's body jerks up mechanically, a trick in the coffin's design triggering at the disturbance. Gasps pop around the room. The mechanism lowers her again. Vogel waves off the scare and tells his men to lift the corpse. One merc's gloved hand brushes a piece of exposed flesh, and a black stain races up his wrist under the skin like spilled ink. He twitches, screams, and fires wildly. Everyone dives for cover. Vogel shoots him down, then whirls back to the coffin, fever in his eyes. Trinity wants what's inside this tomb, and he wants to be the one who delivers it. Richard shouts that if any piece of this leaves the island, it'll spread like wildfire through the world. Vogel says he's not greedy. He'll just take a small sample. He plucks out pliers and snaps off one of Himiko's fingers, seals in a bag, and tucks it into his shirt pocket like it's a precious stone. Lara and Richard exchange a look. They move. Lara smashes a nearby merc with a heavy wrench. Richard snatches the fallen gun and puts a bullet into Vogel's shoulder. Vogel drops and crawls behind a pillar, firing blind. Lara sprints toward his stashed weapon but can't reach it under the crossfire, so she ducks into a side passage. Vogel orders his remaining men to chase her down. Richard and Vogel circle each other in the dust and flare light, trading shots. Vogel clicks on an empty magazine. Before Richard can finish it, the second infected merc crashes into him like an animal, eyes wild, skin vein black. Richard fights back, manages to wrestle the gun into the man's face and pull the trigger. The man goes limp, but not before his nails rake across Richard's forearm. The scratch burns like ice. He looks down and watches a dark mark creep outward. He swallows and tears a strip of cloth to bind it. There's no time to process what it means. He knows. Lara, meanwhile, lures one of the pursuing soldiers onto another hidden pressure plate. Metal darts blast across the corridor. She tumbles under them. The merc isn't so lucky. He's skewered instantly. Lara stumbles back to Richard and tells him they have to move now. He holds up his infected arm and tells her not to come closer. He knows what that stain is and what comes next. He tells her there's one chance left. Someone has to stop Vogel, and someone has to make sure this tomb never opens again. He'll rig explosives and bring the whole place down. Lara shakes her head, tears bright. She just got him back. There has to be another way. Richard cups the air between them like he's holding her face the way he did when she was little. He tells her she's stronger than he ever was, that all these years he dreamed of seeing who she'd become, and now he has. She's the miracle he waited for. He tells her he loves her. She tells him the same and steps back because if she doesn't leave right now, she never will. She runs, following the chalky glow of flares. In the ladder room, Vogel is halfway up, dragging his wounded arm, muttering curses. Lara launches herself at the ladder and climbs fast, blocking his exit. He swings at her. They collide, the ladder buckles, and both tumble down onto the stone. He hammers her with heavy blows. She doubles him over with a brutal shot to the groin. He snarls and clamps a choke around her neck. She remembers Terry's drills in the boxing ring, tucks her chin, turns with the pressure, pops free, and throws him. He recovers fast, plants his forearm across her throat. Stars burst at the edge of her vision. She slams her fist into his face, then another, scrambling out from under him and sucking in air like it's fire. She shoves the ladder off the ledge. It clatters into the dark, their only neat exit gone. Vogel rages, grabs a pickaxe, and charges. Somewhere behind the walls, Richard finishes wiring the charges. He holds the grenade in his hand and closes his eyes for one heartbeat, seeing young Lara laughing in the garden. He pulls the pin. The blast rips through the tomb, a deep-bellied thunder that shakes every joint in the stone. Dust storms the chamber. Vogel stumbles. Lara doesn't waste it. She kicks him hard, then drives a fist into his throat. He collapses, gagging. She scrambles onto him, digs into his pocket, yanks out the bag finger, and jams it between his teeth. He clamps his mouth shut on instinct, and she smacks his jaw so he swallows reflexively. Horror spreads across his face as the reality of what he just ingested dawns. He staggers back. Lara kicks him square in the chest. He pinwheels and drops into the chasm of souls, vanishing into the bone black below. But the tomb is coming down. Cracks shoot across the ceiling. The floor pitches. Lara snatches the pickaxe and sprints as chunks of stone tumble. A gap opens. She jumps. The far side crumbles underfoot. She slams the axe into the wall and hangs by one hand while pebbles rain down her face. The rock around the axe starts to tear. She swings along it, searching with her boots until they find something solid. She pushes off, claws onto a ledge, and keeps going. A rope drops with a flashlight tied to it, swaying above a shaft. She leaps and grabs it, and the rope yanks her upward. A slab she was on moments before tears free and comes crashing toward her, missing by inches. Outside, Wherein and the freed workers are already pulling at fallen stones near the entrance. They shout Lara's name. Get no answer. Shout again. Wherein sags, then notices the rope twitch. He begins heaving it, rock by rock, hands bleeding. The others pile in to help. A dusty hand breaks through, then a shoulder, then Lara. They drag her out, and she collapses, coughing. Wherein catches the look in her eyes. He doesn't ask. He just nods and squeezes her shoulder. The chop of rotor blades fills the air. A helicopter surfaces over the ridge to pick up Vogel's crew. The pilots try to radio Vogel, confused, but a group of exhausted, angry survivors steps out of the shadows with improvised weapons and attitude. Lara takes point, and the transport team very quickly decides their best option is to give everyone a lift off the island and not ask questions. London looks bright and cold when she gets back. Lara walks into the office with her back straight and signs the inheritance papers. She thanks Anna for holding things together. Yaffe slides the Croft asset portfolio across the table. Lara asks Anna to keep managing day-to-day operations. Anna smiles, smooth as ever, and says of course. Once the handshakes are done and Anna steps out, Lara flips through the files. Something pricks at her. A logo. A name. Putna Company. She's seen it stamped on crates on that island. The same company now listed under Croft Holdings. Her stomach tightens. She bolts to the manor's hidden basement, pulls Richard's Trinity files, and spreads them out. The same name stares back at her from his notes, tied to front companies and shell corporations across the world. If Putna is under the Croft umbrella and Putna supplied the island, someone inside her world is tied to Trinity. The only person who could have steered assets like that while Richard was gone is Anna. The ugly picture forms quickly. Trinity isn't some faraway myth. It's everywhere, threaded into businesses, charities, contracts. And one of them's been sitting across the table from her, smiling, handing her pens, acting like family. The realization doesn't make Lara smaller. It steals her. She heads straight to the pawn shop. Alan, suddenly very polite after the last encounter, admits the amulet she sold him is worth a lot more than he paid. His wife appears from the back, just as Lara's eyes drift over their special items case. Alongside antique watches and knives sit a pair of slick, heavy pistols. She looks at the amulet, then at the guns. The message in her head is simple. The fight didn't end on the island. She buys the amulet back and picks out twin handguns that feel balanced and sure in her palms. No speeches, no drama. She holsters the pistols. There's a shadowy network to unmask, a traitor to confront, and a promise to keep. For Richard, for the people who died on that island, and for the girl who grew up believing she had to wait for her father to come home. Waiting time is over. Work starts now. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.